the Gulf Screen Guild Theater rises on the first act of Jane Eyre, adapted by Charles Tazewell from Charlotte Bronte's beautiful love story of the 19th century. Starring Brian Aherne as Edward Rochester and Bette Davis as Jane Eyre, who tells our story.
My story begins in the orphanage at Loughton, whose bleak grey walls are crusted with the green mould of righteous charity. I spent 10 barren years there, 8 as a lonely inmate and 2 as a teacher. And then suddenly an overwhelming desire possessed me to be free of Loughton. I sent off a letter to a London paper, advertising myself as a governess in need of a situation. I scarcely dared to hope for a reply. What right had I to aspire to a position above what I now held? My appearance was as plain and drab and colorless as Loughton Orphanage. To my great surprise, a letter came to my hands a week later. It was on crested notepaper and was written with heavy strokes of the pen. My dear Miss Eyre.
If you are in a position to give satisfactory references, and if you are willing to adapt yourself to a secluded life without outside interests or contacts, you are requested to present yourself on Thursday next here at Thornfield Hall. Respectfully.
Edward Rochester. The night I arrived at Thornfield Hall was cheerless and foreboding, and the darkness was so thick and heavy that the carriage seemed to creak and groan against the blackness of the night. At length the carriage stopped before the blacker shadow of a house, whose dismal appearance was heightened rather than lessened by the feeble light of a single candle that gleamed from one curtained window. Mrs. Fairfax, the housekeeper, answered my ring, and I was taken to the library, a great empty cavern of shadows. Suddenly, I was left alone with my prospective employer as the great door closed softly behind me.
Well, come in, Miss Eyre. Don't stand there in the doorway.
Yes, sir.
I'm not an ogre. Sit down. No, not there. Over here where I can see you.
Yes.
Well, tell me about yourself. Where do you come from?
Loughton School, sir.
Ah, charity case, eh? No parents. Orphan.
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
18, sir.
And you believe, of course, that you're a qualified governess.
Well,
English, a smattering of bad French, the rudiments of drawing, music. Do you play?
A little.
Of course. That's the established answer, isn't it? Well, sit down at the piano. Play something.
Yes,
That's enough. Enough. I apologize for my disbelief in your ability.
thank you.
You do play a little. Oh, I admit you have one virtue. You are truthful.
And you, sir, are very abrupt.
I fancy you'll get used to that in time.
Does that mean I'm to stay on here?
Certainly you're to stay on. Good heavens, with all the important things I have on my mind, do I have to write you a special invitation?
A simple and concise answer, such as yes or no, would be sufficient.
What's that?
Good night, sir.
Huh? No, wait, Miss Eyre. Come back here, please. Perhaps I owe you another apology for my bad manners.
That isn't necessary.
You're annoyed. Yes, and stubborn. Stubbornness is a great fault, Miss Eyre.
Not nearly as great as your temper, sir.
Oh, indeed? Well, not only truthful, but exceedingly, I might even say painfully, frank, Miss Eyre.
I'm sorry.
Oh, but I like it. In fact, I like it very much. You know, I have a strange feeling that your coming to Thornfield Hall will bring about a great change for the better. Why, already
What's that?
Here in the country, we are apt to hear strange sounds in the night, Miss Eyre.
It sounded almost...
Oh, nothing to worry about.
Mr. Rochester. Oh, I thought you were alone.
Come in, Mrs. Fairfax. Did you hear that noise? It quite alarmed Miss Eyre.
Yes.
I heard it. It was Grace Poole.
Yes, she has a room in the west wing, Miss Eyre. An excellent seamstress, but a strange woman.
Please, may I speak with you, Mr. Rochester?
Certainly, if Miss Eyre will excuse us.
Of course. Tomorrow will be a busy day. What with becoming acquainted with your ward and starting lessons. With your permission, I'll retire. Good night, Mr. Rochester.
Good night.
Oh, Miss Eyre.
Yes, Mrs. Bette.
It will be wise for you to bolt your door as long as you remain at Thornfield Hall. Good night, Miss Eyre.
I lay awake long that night, thinking over the strange household in which I found myself. Unable to sleep, I rose from my bed and stood at the window. Grey clouds scudded across the moon, trailing their spectre garments behind them. Then, in some other part of the great house, a clock tolled the hour of 3. Scarcely had its reverberations died away when another sound came to my listening ears. Footsteps, slow, stealthy, coming down the hall. I waited countless, unmeasured seconds as the footsteps approached my door. Then something brushed across the panels and touched the latch. Who's there? Who's there? There was a sound of retreating footsteps. With trembling hands, I lit my candle. What horror was this? What terror was abroad in the darkness of Thornfield Hall? Suddenly I heard a hideous cry of mirthless laughter. Could such a deformity of sound come from any human throat? Throwing a dressing robe round me, I silently unbolted and opened my door. The hall was palely lit by a single candle, and I started toward the wing where I knew Mrs. Fairfax slept. And then, behind me, I heard a door creak open. I turned. There was no one in sight. But Mr. Rochester's door stood open, and out of it rushed great billows of smoke. Wake up, Mr. Rochester.
What?
Your room's ablaze. The curtains, the bed. Wake up, Mr. Rochester. Wake up. You'll be suffocated. Here, the water pitcher.
What kind of infernal...
Oh, get out of bed.
Will you please
Quickly.
Out of bed? What, with you standing there? I'll do nothing of the kind.
There's no time for convention. Your bed's on fire.
Oh, the smoke.
Hurry.
Nothing of tonight's accident to the others, Miss Eyre.
Accident?
What else? I fell asleep reading. The wind must have blown the curtain into the candle flame.
But the footsteps outside my door and the laugh.
You may have been dreaming, Miss Eyre.
Dream? Very well, if you wish to say so. Good night, sir.
Wait, Miss Eyre. You have saved my life tonight. I have a pleasure in owing you so great a debt. I cannot say more.
There is no debt.
Somehow I knew, at the first moment that I saw you, that you would do me good in some way, at some time. Please forgive me for seeming evasive. I have good reason, believe me. You must believe me.
If it means so much to, I'll try.
Thank you, Thank you, Miss Eyre.
Good night, sir.
Good night, good genie. Good night, Jane Eyre.
In the clear light of a sunny morning, the events of the night before appeared strange, but less sinister. After breakfast, I began lessons with my small charge Adele, and found her an eager, though not brilliant, pupil. I myself found it hard to concentrate as she was.
Charles I was beheaded in 1694.
49, Adele.
Yes, 1649.
I believe your coming to Thornfield Hall will bring about a great change for the better.
The Commonwealth was declared in 1649. Oliver Cromwell was the
Lord Protector.
The Lord Protector.
Somehow I knew, the first moment that I saw you, that you would do me good in some way, at some time.
Oliver Cromwell was followed by Richard Cromwell.
Good night, good night, Jane Eyre.
The House of Stuart was restored in 1680. Wasn't it, Miss Eyre? Wasn't it?
Well, what did you say, dear?
The House of Stuart was restored in 1680 when Charles II ascended the throne.
That's right, dear.